World War I was known for its many military innovations. From the Royal Navy's first use of tanks or land ships to the first combat aircraft designed by Germany, many of these inventions would go on to completely change how wars would be fought. Among these, some of the deadliest and most debilitating weapons were the chemical weapons of World War I. The first use of chemical weapons came in the form of tear gas. Originally used by the French and then the Germans, it proved incredibly unsuccessful as it would fail to work in freezing climates. It only had the effect of disorienting the enemy, which proved not to work effective in combat. As the war progressed, the Germans proceeded with the use of chlorine gas in the Second Battle of Ypres, where a huge cloud of chlorine was released against the British, Canadians, and French. The effects were devastating. It caused severe choking and destroyed the internal organs of the victims. The Allied forces had to evacuate the area, and the Germans were afraid they too would succumb to the chlorine if they advanced into the newly captured trenches. Worldwide condemnation followed Germany's use of chlorine gas. However, since Germany was already utilizing chemical weapons, it left no choice but for the Allies to use chemical weapons as well. The British attempted to retaliate with chemical weapons, but failed miserably. At the Battle of Loos, the wind would blow back the chlorine into the British side, resulting in more British casualties than German. This setback resulted in a shift to put poison gas into artillery shells, and allowed for more varieties of weapons such as phosgene and mustard gas. Among the new chemicals used were others such as paralytic nerve agents and bromine. However, the most used were mustard gas and chlorine. If the war were to last until 1919, about 30 to 50% of all artillery shells would have had some form of chemical weapon. By the end of the war, about 130,000 tons of gas had been used. However, many problems remained with these weapons. Mustard gas would get trapped in the soil and remain poisonous, making capturing trenches very dangerous. The Great War showed that, on an overall scale, chemical weapons proved to be largely ineffective in battle. Once thought to be the weapon which would turn the tide of war, all sides began using it with great consequences. Countries such as Britain, France, and Germany experienced hundreds of thousands of casualties and several thousand deaths. By the end of the war, about 1.2 million soldiers would come back with the debilitating effects of these chemical weapons, but no country showed any real gain from using them. In 1925, all countries agreed that since the costs were too high and the advantages too little, they would all sign an agreement to ban the use of chemical warfare.